Hey guys, how you doing? Hope you're doing okay. I'm not going to read through the full article, I think. I'm going to give you an overview. So I'll start off with the overview, and then we'll just skim right through the article, make sure I've given you all of the important points, make sure I get them all correct. There is a link in the description if you want to go through that yourself. And I will mention that this is a controversial subject. It's essentially surrounding the question of abortion, which is a very personal subject, a very political subject. People are very staunch pro-choice. People are very staunch anti-abortion. I have my views. Naturally, we all have our own views. If we've given the subject thought, I don't really feel the need to go into my opinions on the subject in too much detail. It is what it is. We have our views, and we may agree, we may disagree. So it's probably best not to go there. But that is the subject at hand: abortion. And I'm going to mention that this is, in my mind, a very confusing situation. We don't know the facts of the situation at this case. There's a lot of murkiness going on. There are accusations which are being denied. So we can't really get to grips with this subject in full at this stage. However, I just get the feeling that this is a very important subject that we should at least have a little bit of awareness on. And I can imagine that there may be developments in this case which have significant repercussions. So we're going to have a look. Well, no, we won't have a look through it. I'll give you an overview. So this lady here is called Lauren Handy. She's 28 years of age. If I understand correctly, by the way, I do find this confusing. I may get a detail or two incorrect, but largely I'll be right. If I understand correctly, Lauren Handy is the director of an activist group, and an anti-abortion activist group. That group is called Progressive Anti-Abortion Uprising. Okay. Now, she claims, and by the way, these claims are denied by another party, but she claims that her and her activist group intervened in the delivery or transportation of biohazard materials, and they essentially convinced a truck driver, apparently, to open up a box, to hand them a box, to give them a box that this truck driver was transporting, and it was marked as containing biohazard materials. Apparently, the truck driver handed over the box. Oh yeah, sure. You want this box of biohazard materials? No, yeah, no worries. Here you go. And the activist group apparently opened up the box. Apparently, that was recorded on video. I've not watched that video. There may be a link to it here, but I'm not going to look into that. Apparently, they opened up this box and they found, as grisly as a discovery as this is, they found 115 fetuses. I should have mentioned this happened in the Washington, D.C. area. They found 115 fetuses. Now, they arranged for a priest to come to their premises to bless and name the fetuses. 110 of them, of the fetuses, were buried in an undisclosed private cemetery somewhere in Washington, we believe. The remaining 5 fetuses were found to be, let me just look to make sure I say the right thing at this point. Okay, so 5 of the fetuses were said to have been at later gestational stages, potentially in apparent violation of the Federal Partial Birth Abortion Act and the Born Alive Infants Protection Act. So if I understand correctly, this activist group essentially convinced a truck driver that was transporting biohazardous materials to hand over a box. These activists videoed the opening of that box. They found 115 fetuses. They arranged for a priest to bless, and then they subsequently buried 110 of those fetuses. However, 5 of the fetuses seemed to be of later gestational stages, so they were larger, more developed, more mature than the others, and there is the suggestion, there is the belief that those 5 were so late in the gestational stage, the gestational period or such, that they were in violation of 2 acts: Partial Birth Abortion Act and the Born Alive Infants Protection Act. So I'm just going to interject here. So I do find this very odd, this situation. Who's to blame? Are the activists to blame for convincing this truck driver to hand over biohazardous material? Are they to blame? Should they not meddle in this type of thing? Maybe. Is the truck driver to blame for having handed over the biohazardous material? Probably, would be my guess. Or is it important that these activists have potentially discovered that some of the fetuses were potentially illegal abortions, that they potentially occurred at a stage of their gestational period such that, well, it was too late, they shouldn't have been aborted. So it's a bit confusing as to how to read this situation. It gets even more complicated when the organization responsible for the biohazardous material, and hopefully I get this right, the Curtis Bay Medical Waste Services, have denied, pretty much, as far as I understand, all of the claims that this activist group has made. So they've said, we don't transport fetal remains. That's not something we do. They've said that fetal remains are classified as unacceptable waste, which must be separated from other medical waste and burned or buried. So what this company, Curtis Bay Medical Waste Services, are saying is, in my understanding, perhaps I'm wrong, I don't think I am, but it completely contradicts what this activist group is saying. The activist group is saying they spoke with a truck driver, the truck driver handed over these fetuses, and the organization concerned, the medical waste services, are saying, no, didn't happen, mate. We don't do that. We don't transport these fetuses. It's not appropriate to transport them. So who knows where the truth lies? So medical examiners are to look at these fetuses. I may not understand this correctly, but it does seem to say here that a medical examiner has examined the 5 fetuses. And if I understand correctly, the medical examiner is saying that they did have injuries consistent with a violent crime. So it seems like there is potentially some evidence that this activist group is in the right in regards to the 5 fetuses being beyond the allowed legal gestational stage. The activist leader, Lauren Handy, has pleaded not guilty to federal charges of conspiracy to block an abortion clinic, and an investigation is ongoing. So there we go. There's this story here, which I think I've put in the thumbnail, in the video title, Odd and Unpleasant. It's very much an unpleasant topic. We are talking about dead fetuses. I mean, it's pretty gross. It's pretty... I'm sorry if is it appropriate to use the word gross? I guess I just did. So, it's a pretty unpleasant topic, and it's a kind of an odd, confusing situation to me. I don't know what to make of it. It seems to me that the medical waste company is trying to besmirch the activist group, to paint these guys as being mad hatters, troublemakers, instigators. Perhaps that's an accurate way to go about things, but perhaps it isn't. Perhaps these guys have actually discovered that the fetuses are being transported potentially illegally. Perhaps they're being disposed of potentially illegally, and perhaps some of the abortions themselves are actually illegal. So maybe this is an important subject which needs to be investigated more thoroughly. I would say that it is. I'm going to wrap things up there, other than to throw one other thing into the mix. I have seen a headline just over the last couple of days, and I failed to look into it. But I did see a headline. I think I'm going to have this wrong to some extent, but roughly in California, there are some politicians that want to bring forward a bill, a law, such that it will be legal to commit infanticide, such that it will be legal to kill newborn babies, within the first 7 days of their life outside of the womb. I think that's a proposed bill. And again, I didn't read into the details. I just saw a quick headline. And I think I've seen similar before. Wasn't it in New York? Didn't they have a bill, something like within the first 3 months, under certain circumstances, within the first 3 months of the baby being born, under certain circumstances, it would be legal to euthanize the baby? Something like that. I mean, look, as I said, the whole question of abortion is extremely personal. I do feel that it is more relevant to women than it is to men. Not entirely so. I don't mean to shut men out of the topic completely by any means, but I think it is more personal to a woman than it is a man, and it's highly political. I'm not looking to upset anyone with my opinions. Maybe my opinions aren't that well formed in this regard. I don't really know, but in any case, that type of thing, enabling, legalizing infanticide up to 7 days after the birth of a newborn baby, I will confidently state that I'm not very inclined to agree with that. I think that kind of thing should not be allowed, is my feeling. So anyway, I'll leave things there. There is a link in the description. If you'd like to add to this, please do. Please have a conversation in the comment section amongst ourselves. And if this is the type of content that you like, please do show me some encouragement. And you guys, I really appreciate the comments. You guys have been real sweethearts. So please do like, comment, subscribe, share the video as you see fit. I'm hoping to do some live streams. I'd love some feedback in regards to that. If you do join a live stream, hop up on panel. If you're going to be well behaved, hop up on panel. And I'll leave things here. I'll thank you for your time, and please, everybody, be kind and stay safe.